I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz
begin. Hi, y'all. It's Amir Yesai, and yes, I am wearing a rainbow bandana. I was feeling extra gay today. So, yes, that rhymed. Thank you for being here for our gay Twitter panel for AfterBuzz TV. I'm joined by the lovely Max Talisman. What a last name. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. We're going to dive in with Max and have a lot of fun conversations. And obviously, can't forget about my cuties. Sisters from another mister. You got Ollie and obviously Brian in a crop top. Yes.
I'm wearing a crop top. I have to show it at least one time.
You.
Those are my crunches. Can you see my crunch workouts coming into play?
Yes. We can all wear crops. I love it. So cute. Thanks, guys, for being back. We're going to dive right in. We have so many fun topics. Obviously, if you've been living under a rock, you haven't heard about Lady Gaga's concert, The Global Citizen. Such a star-studded event. It literally went on for like 7 or 8 hours. So it was kind of insane. It was like most of Saturday. So it was nuts. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Antoni, my favorite queer eye. He's such a little cutie. He's doing a new show with Kenya Barris, who just did Black Death on Netflix. He's the writer for Blackish, sentimental and deep. We'll get to that. And then we also, yes, Brian?
Oh, I said love.
Brian?
Yeah.
Oh, love. Okay. I want to give you all the attention in
Thank
that crop top
Heart.
Of course. And then we have Bethenny Frankel donating millions, not just hundreds of masks, so millions of masks for obviously Corona. And then everyone is salivating over the Spanish army, honey. They had these revealing outfits, giving us life. It was everything we needed. And then obviously we have our special segments with Brian's going to do our Pop Diva Dish. And we have Ollie's going to give us, Ollie, let's talk about it segment. We got so many fun things. I'm not even going to spoil any of their topics. We're just going to keep it special and secret. And then obviously we're going to do a quick little Q&A with Max at the end. We really want to dive in to their directorial debut. You're doing so much acting and Broadway and such a LGBTQ symbol and role model. So we're going to get into all of those fun things. But I want to just go back right to Lady Gaga, because where better for the gays to begin than at Lady Gaga. So did you guys watch this concert? I only saw snippets of this Global Citizen concert, but what were your opinions? Anyone dive in?
I actually more so want to touch on the article you shared with us, with gay Twitter. I watched snippets of the concert and I was definitely liking it. I was like, well, this is interesting. It's some of the best names in music. But that idea from that article, which basically talks about the fact that it was kind of like privileged, was like very, very interesting perspective. Because at one point I was like, oh, this is kind of a reach. But at the same token, I was like, wow, that's very true. Like basically making us more sad than we already are. Like I wanted to hear Gaga like doing Born This Way and doing a back handspring. Like I don't know, but
oh my god, I love that you say that, because as beautiful as you said, star-studded, all these amazing artists and entertainers, hosts and whatnot giving into the project, the production. It was kind of like I wanted some bangers to play. Yeah. Like they're like, lean on me which is great. I get it. It's Corona, COVID-19. This is the relief concert. We just want everyone. Right. We're in this together, as everyone keeps saying. Which yes, okay. But yeah, I wanted something a little bit more to take my mind more off of Corona. If that makes sense. But I did love that they were shouting out like all the essential workers out there. It was good. I got a little bored of it just because it was so long and some of the artists I wasn't sure of, so I kept it on in the background. But obviously, I was here for Gaga and Billy and whatnot, Casey. So shout out to those people. It was all in all, it was really good, and it's nice that they were raising such awareness for it and whatnot. So.
That's cute. I like that. That was a Stephanie moment,
Right.
That's when she's Stephanie, so it's great. That is funny. That cracks me up. There was a lot of moments where I also kind of didn't recognize certain people, like Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello. I was like, wait, are they brother and sister? It was
my God.
Very awkward. I thought it was very awkward. And then I also thought it was very, very awkward when Elton John was showing us the basketball hoop in his house. And like, I felt like, did he realize this is not MTV Cribs? Like, I don't know what was happening
Welcome
there.
to my crib.
Right? So a lot of people on gay Twitter were very upset. They were like, we don't need to see how the 1% is living. So did you guys get like triggered? Because the article was the New York Post, and it was like a lot of quotes about being triggered by these celebrities, and how a lot of people were like, we're kind of over celebrities right now. Do you guys, we've talked about this on the show before about kind of like how celebrities kind of act out a little bit during these times. Did you guys feel there's anyone in particular that stood out, or any moments where you felt it was kind of cringy?
Probably the Camila and what's his face, Sean. That was pretty cringy. But I will say that article, like, it's funny how that article has that opinion, but also people were coming for like Charlie Puth for like not making his bed. I'm like, bruh, all of these people are normal human beings. Yeah, they're celebrities.
Right.
But, like,
I'll try to be in there with him.
You're gonna be like, oh my gosh, they're all rich and famous, and then you're gonna come for someone who didn't make their bed. Like,
right.
Like, it's crazy how some people are just so critical yet hypocritical. I don't know. It's just whatever.
I feel you on that.
I don't know.
No, I relate to that. I think it is like we're very hypercritical of celebrities, and we kind of hold them to a different standard. But I think that what I've noticed, even with even gay icons, people have kind of realized, listen, they are not as amazing as we thought. They're still human beings with their own mental health struggles. So I think people are realizing like they're not really looking up to celebrities, because we all kind of are in the same position. Whether your house is $20 million or you're in a 1-bedroom apartment, you're stuck at home.
Right.
So, you have no real financial privilege. So that's kind of been interesting for me, because a lot of celebrities will talk about private jets and trips and, fashion shows. They can't do any of that. So I think that they're kind of stuck indoors, which is literally very tough. Yes,
I feel like it makes me not like, in the way that we were saying we're all in this together, there's a sense of comfort in the fact that everyone is struggling right now. The fact that everyone's staying home, and the fact that everyone has to do work from home if they have work, like that everyone's really trying to focus on getting everyone back on their feet right now. I think it's interesting, because I do sense, at least among a lot of people, there's this sense of camaraderie, like celebrity or, anyone. I feel like everyone kind of feels a sense of like togetherness in this. At least that's what I've been getting. And so I've taken a lot of comfort from that, from, being home and, taking a pause. The fact that everyone is, taking a pause. Everyone that had to stop what they were doing. And I think that, like, celebrity or not, there's comfort to take from that.
Absolutely. Like, it's like we're all kind of stuck at home, and we have to make the best of it, and including celebrities. So that's why a lot of them have been going, live on Instagram and doing concerts, etc. And I hope that Lady Gaga had been teasing about releasing some music with Chromatica. She keeps teasing us. I hope she just like releases the album if it hits end of May. We just need it. Like, just release it. Like, y'all have enough money. The gays need this. So please release your music, Gaga, please.
At least we have Dua Lipa for now.
What was that?
At least we have Dua Lipa for the band.
Yes.
Yes.
We love Dua nostalgia.
Interim.
I love that. Yeah, at least we have Dua, right? That's not the worst thing. At least, so I just wanted to quickly read some fun tweets about this. So Sam Greisman, who is, if you don't know, he's Sally Field's son. He likes to refer to himself as Sally Field's gay son. So he said Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello proved that non-siblings can also have huge, creepy incest energy. So that was really funny, and it really cracked me up. So I thought that was a good one. So I just wanted to end that little segment with that, because I thought he's so funny. But I just quickly wanted to thank everyone for being here at AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. We're here every week giving you all the fun rundown from gay Twitter and all that's going on in the world. And so I just wanted to thank y'all. Please go like, subscribe, and comment. We're in the live chat right now. So if I kind of get distracted, I'm just trying to make sure I read out any live comments. And please go and give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And this way we can have more lovely guests like Max and just all have fun conversations. It's going to be great. Thanks, y'all. And then I quickly wanted to kind of pivot to Antoni. I feel like I'm always thinking about Antoni, so it's fun that we can finally talk about it. So he started doing this like quarantine fashion, like cooking segments called Quarantine Cooking or something like that on his Instagram, and it's been super cute. So he's kind of been on my mind. So then when this story broke, I was like, oh my God, we have to cover it. So he is doing a show about, he's fluid, like sexually, he's very fluid, and He's been with girls and guys and trans people. He's very open. I even didn't know this about him. And so him and Kenya Barris got together, and they really want to bring a lot of attention to people that are non-binary, that are sexually fluid. So hopefully the show will have that like breadth of characters without it being kind of tokenizing, by having Antoni as an executive producer. I don't know if he's going to be in the show, but he's definitely producing it. So we'll have to wait and see. Is that something that Ollie, you would be interested in to watch?
I don't know. I feel like I should watch it because like right now, like I love Antoni. He's beautiful. He's great. I love that he is like representing, you know, non-binary, because that's something you don't see in media. Like at least I watch a lot of things and I don't see people representing being non-binary and being sexually fluid. So it's always like, oh, you're either black or white. You can't be, or even like there's the whole topic of like erasing bisexuality and whatnot, but obviously.
Sure. It's all about casting, I feel like. It's all about the way they put it together. Hopefully they're going to have people of color. Like they're going to really make an effort to kind of have a show that has, exactly. What about you, Brian?
Well, Antoni is just so hot. Like, I have to watch it. No other way to say it. Literally, yeah. I was watching the first few episodes of Queer Eye when I first got into it, and I was just like, hit me with that steak, please. I mean, like,
hit me with that steak. Wow, even a food reference that you made dirty.
He did make hot dogs in one of the first seasons. Remember when he made hot dogs? So I would love. I agree. I would love to have tried.
I saw him at the LA Food and Wine Experience, and so hot. That's another story. But I'm definitely going to check out this series. It's super fun. Echoing up 100% what Ollie said. It's definitely just more diversity in any form of representation is what we want to see. So love that.
Right. Amazing. I love that. So I'll just quickly kind of gloss over this because it doesn't really require a whole moment, but I just wanted to give Bethenny for her due. A lot of people stand her and they were very upset when she left Real Housewives of New York, but she had really left for a good reason. She didn't leave to like become a singer, which a lot of them do. She left because she is giving literally millions of masks. So you can call Bethenny if you're a doctor at a hospital that doesn't have masks, and she will literally provide the masks like through Facebook. So she's doing a lot of amazing work, and it's just, I just wanted to give her some attention before I pivot to what I really want to talk about, which is the Spanish Army. These photos dropped a couple days ago, and people went bonkers on gay Twitter. They literally went nuts. People were salivating. I think it has a lot to do with quarantine as well. They're all these like gorgeous Spanish men, hairy, wearing these outfits that are literally tailored to the gods. Like, if you guys don't have it, like, please go see this because it's just insane. Like these photos, like just look up Spanish Army quarantine and they will come up. And literally, without being crude, like, well, this is crude, but these outfits are very package inspiring, enhancing. It's insane. You guys just need to go see this. So what are you guys thinking like about all of this? Do you think it's inappropriate? Because a lot of people are saying these outfits are inappropriate. Like they're there to serve. Like why are they being sexualized? Do you think it was just like a misstep? Or do you think that the Spanish Army was like, no, we're going to make them look hot?
Well, I'm here to serve too. But
yes!
Kidding, but no, I think it's totally fine. Like, I honestly, I think this is not just because it looks great, but I think also it probably helps, you know, in battle because it's very well fitted and you can move around a lot. You know, I think that's where their mind was. You know, if I was the head of director of fashion on the Spanish Army, I would do the same. So that's what I think.
Okay, I doubt the Spanish Army has a fashion director, but I love where your mind is at, Brian. Maybe that's a new position for you.
There we go. I'm going to be a Spanish national.
I love that.
No, those outfits are on point. Like those men are so beautiful, but also I want one of those outfits for sure. Those are like styling, like for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know. People are too, I don't know. They could be a little, what's the word? Prudish, I think sometimes. And it's like, when is sex such a like taboo thing? Which like, they're not having sex, and why is sex such a bad thing? Right. You know, it's just, it creates like, or any sexual themes. I don't know. Mostly everyone has sex. I don't know. It's just like a normal thing that most people do. I don't know. I guess I'm more open. Not a whore. Okay, a little bit, but not right now. But I don't know. It's like, it's an outfit, and like, I don't know. And oh my gosh, if like women were dressed like this, they would get it even worse, you know, like something like
way worse.
It's just, I don't know, people just need to calm down, but I'm here for like the thirst traps, you know.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a thirst trap. I mean, Ansel Elgort just raised $200,000 with one photo. So I think that thirst traps are the new power move. So I'm not mad at it. I just want to quickly read a fun tweet that someone said. They said, I think I speak for all New Yorkers when I say Spain, hi. Can you deploy some of that in our direction? We will comply with your orders and we will stay inside. I was like, wow, that's kind of funny. And then people kept chiming in and it was really funny. Someone said, not that I've blown it up or anything, but it seems important to note the buttons only start halfway down. This is by design. I hope so, God. I hope so. So that was a really funny. I thought that these tweets were just, people were going nuts. And I don't know if it would have made this much of a noise if we weren't all stuck inside and horny as ever. So I thought that was just really funny. And it was just something light to talk about. I also want to discuss, so Kansas, there's a nurse in Kansas and Rachel Maddow decided to really call this person out and give them their moment in the spotlight, which I thought was amazing because this nurse from Kansas had no real like reason or no one pushed him. He decided to go to New York and be on the front lines. He put himself up at a hotel, which I hope that Rachel Maddow will pay him back for because she's really called him out. And so Danny Renzi, he's really come into the spotlight and a lot of people are really standing for him because he's also done these daily diaries on his Instagram post talking about how bad it is on the front line and how like people really need to stop complaining about being inside. And he's just like really become like a social justice warrior. Do you guys agree with the way that Rachel Maddow kind of went about kind of not exposing him, but bringing him to light? Do you think that that was appropriate or do you think she should have just left him where he was? Or do you think it was nice that she gave him his due?
Go ahead,
Bryant.
I mean, well, sorry. Do you want to go first?
No, go ahead, Ollie. No, please.
I just think all in all, like, I'm sure he wants his story to be told. He wants his point of view, POV to be told. Like, that's why he's posting it. And I feel like a lot of people need to realize if you put something on the internet, it might go viral. It might, you know, Rachel might find it and, you know, talk about it. So I think I'm totally here for, you know, because like if she didn't, then we wouldn't be talking about it right now. And his story wouldn't have been told. It would have been possibly forgotten. And I'm totally here for his message. Like, why are people complaining? Why are people protesting? Which I'll talk about later in my own segment. Like, he has to go, and he's probably going, like, him and a lot of nurses are probably going to be dealing with PTSD, like some kind of form of PTSD, Absolutely. Like after this is all said and done. And it's really disgusting when I see people, this is more for my segment, but complaining about a haircut, you know, like you know, I know people that work in hospitals. I know my mom's a nurse, so it's personal for me. So it's just, I can't deal with people who are complaining about staying home in the safety of their house because they can't work, where, you know, our essential workers are forced to, our healthcare workers, they need to make a living and they want to help people, you know.
They do, absolutely.
It's just really sad, but it's a really touching story, and I'm glad that he is finally getting his story to be told by thousands of people.
Ollie, you're so well spoken. I mean, it's like you really touched upon a really good point that I want to mention, and then I'm going to jump to you, Max. I think what you mentioned is really important because if you look at all the other countries in the world, not to get too political, but America is the only country that's protesting the stay-at-home order. So we have to really look at that and really look within ourselves and do some soul searching and realize no other country is doing this. No one else in the world is protesting the stay-at-home order. So even in Israel, when they protested the government, they stood 6 feet apart with masks on. So look at the way the other countries, like, let's look at the way other countries are doing it and have a little bit of respect. And he even went on in this article to talk about, you know, toe tagging the dead bodies and calling relatives. Like, that's going to give him PTSD and it's going to be a lot on his heart. So Max, I just want to go back to you. You were going to make a point.
No, I totally agree with everything Ollie said. I just think touching on the protesters and stuff, I think it's just a shocking level of self-centeredness with these people. And I think it's kind of blown me away how, like, I mean, listen, I'm young, I'm healthy, right? I'm staying home because it's not just me, right? I could go out, and even if I get infected and, like, even if I get super sick, that could happen. It's more likely I'm going to get a mild case of it and I could get someone else sick. And and then it'll spread to someone else. You know, that's how it's a domino effect with what's happening right now. And the fact that people can't see this big picture because they're so focused on their own lives, on their fact that they can't go outside to the park, or that they can't, you know, go to their favorite restaurant or go back to work. It blows my mind to not have people realize that this is a moment in time, right? This isn't, it's a moment in time if we all follow the rules.
Right.
If we all stick together,
Absolutely.
this is a moment in time. If we don't, this could become more of a reality because these people are protesting. So that's what I think is shocking to me, just that level of self-centeredness to go outside not with a mask and just be screaming and say
it's just crazy.
be affecting this country at such a larger scale than just yourself because you're
Yes.
Right. And Max, what you bring up a really great point as well, because I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, you infecting other people affect. And with the Spanish influenza, the first round, it was 2-3 million people. The second round, it was 20 to 50 million people. So you really have to, because people came out again, they were like, oh, everything's fine. And it's like, that is going to catch up with us. And I think but it just goes back to just not being aware of other people's needs. And it's funny to me that a lot of the protesters are using the anti-abortion campaign, which is my body, my rights. And I'm like, y'all are using the same abortion, like,
right, that you're against.
It's like, makes no sense. Because they're the same people against abortion. Yeah.
Right.
It's almost, they're mocking.
It's just like crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They're mocking the abortion, like, and the pro-choice movement by putting their own stamp on it. And it's just it's ridiculous and disgusting.
Frustrating. It's just very, very frustrating.
I know we're trying not to get political, but like, that is just ridiculous.
It's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. And, I think the more things that happen in the media, like, I don't know if you guys heard, but Elizabeth Warren's older brother died of corona. And I think, and the way that everyone kind of rallied around her, it's just, unfortunately, we have a November election. It's impossible to not be political. Like, it really, it becomes very hard to really not get involved. Brian, did you have a point you wanted to make before we move on?
No, just echoing everything you guys said.
Okay.
It's just, I'm happy that they're telling the stories. Healthcare workers need to be acknowledged for all the hard work they do. Shout out to all of them. They're amazing. And we'll talk about it more in Ollie's segment.
Yes, Ollie's segment's going to really allow us the opportunity to really get into it. So I also wanted to quickly just touch upon this because I think it's very important. I have received death threats on my own social media as well. Being a gay Muslim, people really have come for me. I've gotten a lot of aggressive messages. So I really relate to this next story. Britta is RuPaul's Drag Race. She's the contestant, and she was just eliminated. And a lot of people were giving her death threats, and there was a lot of aggressive behavior. And she actually quit her Instagram and couldn't deal with it anymore. So I think that, like, it's really important that we talk about how important our words are. I even get messages on AfterBuzz comments that I've gotten that have gotten very aggressive, people calling me stupid. So I think it's really important that you realize just because you sit behind a computer doesn't mean you can, decimate people. Did this story kind of affect you guys? Like, how did it affect you all?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely the power of words. Like, it's so crazy how people don't understand that you really can make such an impact on someone with just something you say, and especially, like you said, doing it through the computer where you can hide behind anonymity and not even really tell that person to their face all these horrible things you're saying. It's just so awful. And shout out to Britta, hopefully that she's doing okay now. She's taking this break from social media to really reset and cleanse because people really can be awful on social media. It's so sad to see.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really sad because that happens a lot on Drag Race. People will get eliminated or they're marked the villain. Look at the villain edit. And I feel like a lot of people don't take like editing into mind. Like the producers are crafting like certain queens and characters. They're trying to make a storyline basically for it's reality television. It's not like necessarily scripted, but they're trying to manifest a story for people to get behind certain characters and maybe get against certain characters. But it's really sad that people take the show to heart. I love the show. I love, showcasing different drag artists from around the world, but it's crazy that the fan base, is very young, but also very toxic. And I bring this up a lot in the after show when we talk about Drag Race more in depth. It's crazy. Like, that's at the end of the day, maybe that was a villain on TV. Maybe things were more escalated through editing, but that's still a human being, and it's wrong to absolutely send them hate, death threats. It's disgusting. And it blows my mind because this is like the queer community in itself mostly, and allies and allies, but it's mind blowing. It's drag. It's not that serious.
Right.
It's art,
It's supposed to be fun. And that's what she said. She said it wasn't fun anymore. And I deleted my Instagram and I got off social media because it just wasn't fun anymore. And I think you really mentioned a great point, Ollie, because a lot of people forget. I don't know the numbers, but I would say at least 90% of those hate mail was queer people. I don't think that allies come for people like that. It's always our own community, because I believe hurt people hurt people.
Right.
I have had so many arguments at drag race parties where I know people who have been racist, will never date a black person, will never date a brown person, and then they're like, yes, queen, work it, to that drag queen. You only like people of color in entertainment. You never see them in your own lives. And I think that that's something that is definitely white privilege. It is definitely gay privilege. It is cisgender privilege. And a lot of gay men are like, it's just sass. But sass can escalate very quickly. So it's just a message to queer people. We have to be nicer to each other, because the rest of the world, look at quarantine. Even in New York, there's an anti-LGBT tent that is not accepting gay people that are sick. I mean, like, look at your own. This is the United States. This is not Chechnya. This is not the Middle East. It is in the United States. So I think it's really important that queer people, especially now, band around each other, like support each other. Like, you realize that Britta is at home right now, quarantined, and getting these messages. Like, do you realize that, like, she could have taken her own life, and then that's going to be on your hand?
Yeah.
Like, it's just insane. Like, I don't understand.
I know this is like making a little lighter, but wasn't there a line in Big Mouth where that older gay man said to the younger gay man, he's like, being young, gay, and mean is not a personality?
Right. There you go.
It's so true, though. Like, I think we craft that persona because it's funny. And I'm even been guilty of it. Like, there was a summer where I only hung out with buff, white, very straight acting gay men, and I would say things that I really regret now. But you get caught up because you're like, oh, I'm cool somehow. And then you realize, as you step out of that gay community, you're not a celebrity anywhere else but there. Mm-hmm. Like, nobody cares about you. Nobody genuinely cares who you are. Like, but people get caught up. You come to LA, you want to be part of that group. Like, it is, like, honestly part of a bigger conversation, but it's something that is very near and dear to my heart, because people need to stop doing this to each other. Like, just stop. Just take quarantine as an opportunity to just stop, period, done. Like, you don't need to be cruel to each other.
Instagram, you should delete yours if you're going to attack people.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And if you look at those people, Max, they usually have like 5 followers. They literally, like, one guy threatened to slit my throat, and I looked and he had like 15 followers, and I was like, sweetie, who's gonna slit my throat, bitch? Like, so it's just, like, but you just have to but like, I'm 33. If I got that message when I was 16 years old, I might have taken my own life. So like, just be aware of that. And I think people are like, oh my God, stop talking about that. It's so dark. And I'm like, it's not dark. You're making it dark. Like, mental health is not dark. It's just, like, someone was like, oh my God, you're eating so much. I'm like, no, it's my depression. Like, you have to be honest about where you are in the world. I don't know. I could go on about this all day, but in the interest of time, I really want to get to Ollie's segment. It's fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. So Ollie's read all about it, honey. Take it away.
Yeah, just real quick, we kind of talked about kind of how people are protesting, and there was this huge protest that went viral on Twitter everywhere, not just gay Twitter, but there was a counter protest to the people who are anti-lockdown, and they wanted the country to reopen. This happened in Denver, but there was actually nurses who were standing in front of them, and it was really just hard to watch, just seeing these healthcare workers being yelled at by this lady who was hanging out of like this truck, and I don't know if you guys saw it, but I just wanted to continue to drag those people. And, like I said, I know people that are in the healthcare system, my mom and whatnot, friends. And it's just really disheartening that you want the country to, if you want to work so bad, bottom line, just real quick, summing up, if you want to work so bad, get an essential job, like go work at Rite Aid, go get a job at Starbucks. They're still hiring. Like, I see people like, we need friendly workers, but people are still hiring, like grocery store, if you want to work so bad. And if you need a haircut, cut it yourself. Look a mess like the rest of us. Cut your kids'
I cut my own hair. It's fine.
It's not like, it's really not that bad. And like, there are people who have it so much worse, being in the healthcare system, working and risking their lives day in and day out, and are going to probably have some really bad effects after this. And all you got to do is stay home. It's not that serious. So I just wanted to drag those people, but we kind of already dragged them. But
they're dragged.
We really did drag them. They've been dragged. And I think that's your own personal experience.
That's the argument. I want to work. Like, we want to work. Get a job. You can still get a job. Like I said, at an essential job.
Sure.
Learn. That they probably look down on, like people look down on people who work at Starbucks, look down on if you're a bagger at a grocery store. It's just, I feel like quarantine, is also showing like people's true colors at the same time. There's good people, and then there's really shitty people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Unfortunately, yes.
like,
Go ahead, Max.
I saw that image and I literally had the thought, I was like, this is like an iconic image, right? The fact, like
Iconic.
I mean, there were a few of them. There were male nurses standing in front. There were female nurses. There were all kinds of people standing in front of these protesters. The one that stuck in my mind was the male protester standing in front of, like you mentioned, the woman like holding out a sign outside of her car. And it was just, I noticed that and I saw it and it really sunk in that this is going to be an image we're going to come back to 20 years from now, 30 years from now.
Sure.
You know, it's going to be, how did we act from this image? Because it's very clear in this image who's on the right side of history, right?
I hope so.
To me it is, but it's just gonna come down to like, what is this image gonna mean 30 years from now? Are we gonna say, thank God that this image happened because people started to, you know, take notice of the healthcare workers? Or are we gonna say, damn, we should have really noticed this image when it came out, you know?
Right. No, it's really, really well said. And I think that like, it's about in 20 years, there's a lot of funny TikToks that show like, oh, in 2040, like we're going to have trauma from 2020, of course. But I think this image like this, it really helps to solidify it. And you know, they always say photos speak 1,000 words. So you can see so much in this photo. And in the video version, someone walks by and taps the nurse on the shoulder. And it was just like, it made me cry because it was like, oh my God, this person's like validating this human being and not standing for this person that, you know, is hanging out the, you know, there was a lot of jokes on gay Twitter because I don't want to get so serious, but there was a lot of jokes comparing it to No Scrubs. I don't know if you guys saw that, where it was like, I don't want no scrubs. She's hanging out the passenger side of her best friend's ride, trying to holler at me. So it was very funny. And I was like, you know what? Like, God bless the internet for always being able to bring light to stuff that we go through, because that does bring us together. You know, however toxic Twitter can be, it also does bring us together.
Right.
So it's really, really fabulous. But before we get to a couple questions we have for Max, I want to do Brian's Pop Diva dish to kind of get us a little out of the, you know, COVID fog that we all are in.
Yes, I love it. I'm so happy you brought up Lady Gaga for your hot topic because she's actually our Diva of the Week. Love her. Of course, I'm talking about the track release of Chromatica. So exciting. Gay Twitter went absolutely wild for Gaga. We were all Gaga for Gaga as usual because she released the tracks. I don't know if she released it or it was leaked or both, but it's out and we're ready for Chromatica. We have Ariana Grande featured on it. We have Blackpink featured on it. We have so many amazing things happen. Obviously, I'm the biggest Ari stan, so I am ready for this. Ollie, I know you're also a big Gaga stan, so are you ready? Are you excited?
Oh my gosh, Blackpink. I'm so happy people like know who Blackpink is. Obviously, it's K-pop, and I saw them at Coachella. But yeah, it's really cool that Gaga is, you know, showcasing this because it's also helping us get our minds off of like the rest of the world. And you know, Pride is canceled, but obviously, you know, every day is Pride. Let's be real. So like this is kind of
back.
This is kind of we're gonna celebrate Pride in our bedrooms, in our homes this year, and we're gonna be listening to hopefully maybe Chromatica. You know. But
yes. No, Pride doesn't go away. Like there's a backup dancer actually for Lady Gaga, Mark Canamera, and he does an IG live dance party every Friday on his Instagram. So he does full on wigs and confetti coming out of his underwear. So I think Pride doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. Never.
Max, are you a Gaga fan?
Who isn't, right? I mean,
well, Madonna isn't.
Fair. I think like the thing about Lady Gaga is like, especially in the past few years, I think we realized like how multi-talented this woman is. Like, holy shit! Not only is she one of the greatest songwriters alive, but she's now one of the greatest actresses, and also she sings her fucking face off, and it sounds insane. You know what I mean? Like this woman is so fucking talented. Like I absolutely love Lady Gaga. She's
we're ready for Chromatica.
all that on top of that, the philanthropy work that she's doing. All the money she's raised. So she's just I love her.
We love Lady Gaga. I loved her from that first episode of Sopranos, honey. I have loved Stephanie from day one. So such a fan. Another person I'm a huge fan of and has been with us the whole time, obviously Mac Talisman. Your words have been so eloquent and well, and I wish that I was not such a I could just say things that had impact. So I know that you're obviously directing things like this that people don't know, and it's going to be like an amazing movie that's going to come out, a romantic comedy. I want you to explain it from you than me kind of butcher it. So tell us what is the kind of center of the story.
Sure. Well, I think I'll start more like why I wrote it. I think
Yes.
is a way to
Better.
start
Yes.
because basically I started writing it around the time that we had Love, Simon, Alex Strangelove, all these movies, which are amazing movies. I have to say I'm a big fan of both of them and all movies that are similar to them. But what I was struck by was the fact that every romantic comedy I have ever seen is either about coming out or lives in this world of super campiness, which I mean is great. I love those movies too, GDF and all of the movies like that. They're amazing fun. But I haven't ever seen a movie that represented myself as someone who is a young millennial figuring out my life. But the fact is, I came out, right? Like that's not part of my life, right? Like I know who I am, and I'm okay. Like I love myself, and I love who I am, and so that part of my life is dealt with. And so I wanted a movie that just showed two gay men falling in love, right? I wanted a movie that was universal in its appeal and that straight people and anyone, I mean, anyone on the spectrum in any way could see themselves represented by because it's just two people falling in love and they just right. And so I was struck by that and I just started writing this romantic comedy and from it Things Like This was born.
Wow. I love the title too. I think it's really fabulous. Brian, do you have a question?
Yeah. So, what I want to know is you talked about a little bit with those two movies, and I feel like Hollywood has definitely gotten a lot better over the years with LGBT representation and visibility. But I think there's still work to be done. So, what progress do you think could be made in that regard?
Well, I mean, we touched on it with the Antoni show, right? I think right now there's not a ton. There's still not enough gay representation. I mean, the thing is, I as someone who's, lived in New York and LA, and I mean, I haven't lived in middle America, but like, let's be
Thank God. Thank God.
We should be represented in fucking everything. Like, there's not a show on TV that should not have at least 4 gay characters compared to the cast, because at the end of the day, that's what it is demographically, in my opinion. But I think we touched on this with the Antoni stuff. I think there's so few shows that have queer people of color, right? Or have people who are cisgender queers, right? I think we really only have Pose, which is about a historic moment in time. We don't have anything that exists now. I mean, I know I didn't have a chance to watch it, but I know that the new L Word had a character who was non-binary, which is awesome.
Yes, they did.
Shameless had a character who was trans, and my point is that characters who aren't cisgender, white, gay men, they need a chance as well, right? And they need to feel just as represented as a gay white man feels represented, or as a lesbian person feels represented. At the end of the day, we need to represent everyone because that's what films should do. Films should make people feel seen. They should feel represented. They should feel safe watching a movie. And I think that's what I am struck by as a creator is I want to really make people feel seen, whoever they are. And so that's what I think we need more of, is that kind of thing.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you.
What's your take on, because this might be like a loaded question, because obviously Things Like This is a romantic comedy, but I feel like a lot of like the queer films that get like the press and the awards and whatnot, the ones that get like super successful are like very like, spoilers, like sad, like they have like sad endings, like Call Me by Your Name, Brokeback Mountain, Philadelphia, even like Moonlight, which I love all those films, don't get me wrong, but they do kind of have very somber elements of like the queer experience. So what's your kind of take on that, and did that all affect Things Like This at all by chance?
I think it only affected it in that I was like, I mean, because obviously I've seen all those movies. They're incredible films. I mean, Brokeback Mountain, anytime I want to cry, that's what I'm watching.
Right.
Same.
And Moonlight is, you mentioned, to me, out of those films, has the most hopeful ending, right? I mean, it doesn't end with anything specific, but they're holding each other, and they're like, it's an open future, right? So that movie specifically has the most hopeful ending, and I mean, it's also great because that movie won the Oscars, so that's an amazing. I mean, that was an amazing moment, right, when that happened. But I think it's only affected me in the fact that I have such a hard time, and I'm not trying to spoil my own movie here,
right.
but I have such a hard time writing tragic endings for gay characters because we've had too many of them.
Right.
Too many of them. We've had too many of our, heroes who we see on film and TV die randomly, right? And I think, or one of them dies and one of them lives with the memory of them, right? There's that kind of thing. And so it's like, I mean, Call Me by Your Name got the sequel, which finally has a happier ending. Spoiler alert! But
Oh, thank God.
It's been out for a while. The book.
Like 40 years later, you know what I mean? So it's like, I think it only affected me in the fact that I really cannot, at least in the terms of a gay romance, write something that's deeply tragic. I mean, I can write something that maybe they don't end up together because that happens, but I can't write something that harms someone who's in this community. I think we just need too much of that, and I can't write something that has that narrative.
Okay,
Right.
good.
Thank God. We need that. Thank God, Max. I mean,
Yeah.
I've worked as a publicist in this town for like almost 10 years. I've been in a lot of rooms, and a lot of straight kind of cisgendered men, they salivate at that torture of a gay character. If you beat up a trans person, they love it. Like, I pitch stuff with clients where they're like, why can't the gay character get beat up? And they're like, no, he's like the football quarterback. And they're like, no, just have him get beat up because he's gay. Like, they love that. So for you to be able to do that is super powerful and very, very, like, I love to hear that. On that note, I wanted to ask you a quick question about, because going from writer and actor, and you do like Broadway, all the stuff that you do, and then jumping to director is a big leap. Like that takes some, that takes some cojones to kind of jump and do that. Was there someone that like you looked up to, or a mentor, or someone in that process of, it's a directorial debut? Was there someone that you went to? Like, how did you just go, okay, I'm going to direct this myself?
I think, so when I was young, I would always say my goal in life was to star, direct, and write my own Broadway musicals. And so I guess I just translated that into film. But no, I think like I would be ridiculous if I didn't say that I know nothing about filmmaking, to be honest. Like I didn't go to school for it. And like, maybe whoever is funding my film, like, don't listen to me say this, but like, like, I mean,
he's very talented, Max.
What I know how to do is tell a story, and I've done that my entire life. And I've directed theater my whole life, and so I know specifically how to tell a story, right? And so at the end of the day, that's what was most important to me in things like this, was telling the story. And so I was interviewing these directors and going back and forth, and I just didn't feel the confidence that someone else was gonna share the story with the same amount of love and the same amount of care that I could, and that I'm going to. And so it was, I don't want to say that there was one specific mentor who led me in that direction, because there were many. There were many people who spoke to me and were like, instilled me with the confidence. And I think a big thing was I went to my friend Charlie Tahan, who's going to be in the movie. He's on Ozark, and he's a really good friend of mine. We did Super Dark Times together. And basically I was just like, because he'd been attached to the movie for a long time. He was the first person who I went to with the script. I always wanted him to do it. And I was like, just so you know, I decided to direct it. And he was like, finally. Because he waiting for me to like come to that conclusion. And so when that happened, and when I had the confidence of everyone else in the cast and everyone who I was casting, and it just at some point it didn't feel right handing off this movie. And I couldn't have the conscience to do it. I just couldn't. So I can learn about cameras, right? I can learn that kind of thing. I know how to tell a story, so I'm going to tell it. That's kind of what it came down to.
Got it. That's amazing.
That.
I love
your
that.
Baby. It's your baby.
Yeah, you're birthing your baby. I love it.
It's your passion project, not your passion party.
Oh yes, Brian. Do you guys have any final questions you want to ask? We have time for one more.
Ollie, have any?
Let's see. Who are like just off the top of your head? Who are some of your queer like idols growing up, or queer icons that really kind of got you where you are today with their help of just being inspired by them and influenced?
I think in like a less specific way, because I can't think of like specific names, but I do know that as growing up as someone who's loved theater and who followed Broadway all the way, like it would always be like there would be a Broadway star at an opening night and be like someone with their partner or someone with their husband or someone with their boyfriend, right? And I think the Broadway community has kind of led the charge in living your life openly as a performer. And so I, like, coming from that background, I've never in my mind thought of anything but living my truth. And so I was very much inspired by Broadway performers who did that and who led with example by doing that.
That's awesome. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that so much. Broadway is
Love
the
that.
hero, basically.
Broadway is,
Yes.
let's support live theater, right?
Yes.
Support
Yes,
it.
yes, yes. When everything opens up. Is there any music in this, in things like this? Because you said musical
There
theater,
is
like
actually,
influence. Oh, fabulous.
I will sing in it. I have a song.
Ooh.
I'm constantly inspired by music, so I'm constantly listening for what can be on the soundtrack or bands that I can work with. Because I wrote this thing basically, like, no one else sings, but I wrote it basically as a musical because I just get inspired by music all the time. So there's literally 1,000 music cues, and I like keep finding stuff. So it's like I definitely need to find the people to work with, but there's gonna be so much music in it because I'm just constantly inspired.
I love that. I love that. And so just where can people follow you in the meantime so they can keep up to date when this comes out? And I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, so you can follow me. All my social media is the Max T Show.
Okay,
So the Max T Show, been there at that handle all the time since the very beginning of Instagram. So just follow me there, the Max T Show. And, I update all the time with everything that we're doing because the truth is that even though we're staying at home, we're working harder than ever on this film because hopefully when things get back up, we're ready to go. So we're very excited by that, and the fact is it's been a really productive time for the film actually.
Awesome. That's great. That's awesome. I love that. Thank you for being here with us.
Yes,
Brian,
thank
where can they
you.
all find you? Yeah,
So much
thank
fun.
you. Thank you. So
Yes,
much
it was
fun.
so
Oh my
fun.
God. It was fabulous.
Thank you. You can
You'll
find
have to
me
come
on.
back. Sorry.
Yes, please. No, you're good.
Please
Have me
come back.
yes.
Please.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at the Brian Santos, and on AfterBuzz TV's Quarantine with the Stars.
And I'm Ollie Drennan. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Ollie Dreamer.
Perfect. And you can find me at _YASS on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Max Talisman, thank you so much for being here with us. Your words will stay with me. They were so deep and poignant, so I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Awesome. Come
Yes.
back whenever you want. This is like your clubhouse. Come back whenever you want.
And a little better.
Oh, thank you. We're a little less shady than Andy Cohen, but yeah, thank you. Thanks again. Y'all be safe and take care, and we'll be back next week for Gay Twitter Panel. Love you all. Mwah.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.